Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of stress, tension, or anxiety to leave your body in your outward breath. Enabling you as you breathe in and breathe out to slowly and deliberately release those feelings of tension, giving you a feeling of calm, tranquility, and centeredness. Breathe in through your nose, out through your nose. Eyelids feeling heavier and heavier. I want you to create in your mind an image of an electronic collar, perhaps around a dog. I want you to imagine that this electronic collar is programmed. So if the dog goes any more than 50 meters from its house, it creates an electrical charge. And then the dog learns to stay within a close proximity to the safety of the house. Perhaps you can imagine the pain, the discomfort of that dog as it gets close to that perimeter. And when it passes it, it's a significant electrical charge, similar to a taser, but around the neck, creating a traumatic response for that dog. But the dog doesn't know how much 50 meters is. It just learns that if it goes too far, something bad will happen. And the dog might replay those moments where it got electrocuted again and again, until the dog didn't even leave the house, because the idea of becoming electrocuted becomes just as big as a deterrent as an actual electrocution. Continue to breathe in and breathe out. And I want you to imagine that there is some code, some programming attached to this electronic collar. That it is set to 50 meters, but that if the dog never approaches the perimeter, each week it reduces by a meter. The dog doesn't want to be electrocuted, so stays away from the perimeter, not knowing that the perimeter closes in 1 meter every week. And it's not long until the dog is restricted to a tiny space inside the house, unable to go into a garden, unable to go further. Just moving creates this unpleasant electrical traumatic shock. The dog doesn't know that there is another part of the programming of this collar. That every time they get electrocuted, the perimeter increases by another 5 meters. The dog learned the wrong lesson. The dog learned that by being electrocuted, it should stay away from the perimeter. That was never the real lesson. The real lesson was to build up a tolerance, a resilience to the discomfort, so the perimeter keeps expanding wider and wider and wider. Because what's the alternative? Ever decreasing circles of more limitations, more stress, more anxiety. And once you don't mind the electrical shock, the world is infinitely large. I want you to think of things in the past that you perceive to be the border of a limitation, a metaphorical electrical shock, rejection, ridicule, a setback, money wasted, time wasted. I want you to think of those times that you allowed your perimeter to get smaller because you wanted to avoid the discomfort, the pain. And I want you to think of an alternative way of thinking about it. And that new way of thinking about it is that pain, emotional, physical, is the perimeter of your comfort zone. And when you can't be ridiculed, there is no pain. When you treat everything like you either win or you learn, even the pain is a lesson which you appreciate. I want you to get a sense that to have an infinitely large perimeter is to be completely comfortable feeling uncomfortable. You simply don't mind. There are people in the world hiding away from perceived embarrassment, worrying about being awkward, worried about a failure, a rejection, a setback. But there are other people out there that don't treat the electrical shocks as pain. They treat it as training, as conditioning, as becoming stronger, mentally tougher. The only person that sets the limitations on your possibility is you. And what if, instead of avoiding the discomfort, you embraced the discomfort? There are people that avoid the pain of cardio exercise, so they stay in their home and they get sick. There are people that avoid the temporary muscle pain of lifting weights, doing strength training, so they stay at home and get weak. There are people that are afraid of failing in business, so they spend their lives living in jobs they hate. I want you to entertain an idea that avoidance makes you weaker, and embracing the discomfort puts you in that small percentage of the world that won't be coerced into those sheep pens, but instead get to roam free to wherever you decide to go. I want you to get a sense that all ideas are worthy of consideration. You might have ideas that are on the other side of your perimeter, But just because you have an idea, and it might be worthy of consideration, doesn't mean it's worthy of your time and your resources. I want you to make a promise to yourself where you will consider all ideas and will have the intention of following up, or perhaps 1 or 2% of your ideas. Of every 100 ideas you think of, success will be turning just one of them into reality. Therefore, you give yourself permission to activate that imaginative, creative part of your brain where you think of wonderful ideas and a wonderful future with a willingness to be discerning and critique those ideas, treating it like panning for gold, where just a few of those ideas withstand your due diligence and critique, and those that can't be eroded through time or criticism or careful thinking are the shiny nuggets of gold worth investing your time and resources to turn them into a magical reality. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine that you are now the dog. Feel that electrical collar and move towards the perimeter, unfazed. Imagine reaching the perimeter and feeling that even with the electrical shock, you're not going to move away. Feel the shock and then realize that you can go 5 minutes even further. 5 meters further, feel another shock, and then it goes even further still until you build a tolerance to the shock. So it just feels like no different from slight discomfort. And at that point you realize the only limitations are the limitations you build for yourself. But in a world of infinite possibilities, discernment and choice are essential to spending your time wisely. Time is your scarce resource, not opportunities. And if your unconscious mind accepts that to be true, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Imagine breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. Exhaling any tension. Opening up a portal inside to your inner self to believe you are capable of infinitely more than you ever realized. A willingness to consider all opportunities, all ideas. But knowing that just one good idea followed through diligently is worth 1,000 ideas that are just bad ideas or not thought through properly. Take this expansive feeling of opportunity and discernment and find yourself returning to the present, listening to my voice. All parts in this moment, as everything has just been thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, dreams within dreams. And now all parts back in the present, listening to my voice with a belief and a conviction that it is necessary to expand your comfort zone, and it can even be enjoyable. As I count from 1 to 10, to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.